What I'm about to say in this video, it's quite obvious. I shouldn't have to say this, but for those that need it, I will say it. It may save your life, or the lives of those around you. You cannot be safe with delusional people. Let me repeat that. You cannot be safe with delusional people. Now, what is a delusion? I already explained that in previous videos. There's a difference between a fantasy and a delusion. A fantasy is when you want something, but due to lack of knowledge, what you want will backfire on you. Why? Due to your lack of knowledge, you will get involved into something, but it will end up being far more difficult or far more challenging than you expected. So you're not ready to deal with something, but you think you are. Not because you're arrogant, not because you think you're everything, but due to lack of proper understanding. That is a fantasy. A fantasy, you can be checked out of it by others by them providing you proper constructive knowledge. I said constructive knowledge. I'm not talking about tearing someone down to relieve yourself. This is something that also often happens in the world. That when you lack knowledge, people tend to tear you down to feel good about themselves. I'm not talking about that. When people give you proper constructive feedback, you're out of a fantasy and you're spared from a lot of future trouble. So a fantasy is something any one of us can get into. When you lack proper knowledge, you will develop a fantasy. That simply means that your expectation, your idea needs to be altered. It needs to be adjusted so that it's practical for the long run. There's nothing shameful nor embarrassing about a fantasy. It simply means that something needs to be worked on. A delusion, however, is very different. People confuse delusion for fantasy and fantasy for delusion. A delusion is when someone wants an escape so much that they lose sight of their own long-term well-being as well as the long-term well-being of those around them. Someone that's delusional will sacrifice your life to be relieved. And they will always have a reason for it. Let me give an example. Let's say you have someone riding a bicycle, but they don't wear a helmet. And they live, let's say in South Korea, where you have mostly a rocky landscape with many hills and mountains. It's not a flat swamp territory like the Netherlands. It's a place with a lot of rocks here and there. So for your own safety, you need to wear a helmet while riding a bicycle. That's the law in Korea. Let's say someone is riding a bicycle, and because it's a rocky landscape, they fall. They almost hit their head. And later, they'll realize, oh dear, I almost died or end up in the hospital, and I could have become paralyzed or I could have remained with long-term physical harm. So then they think, I don't want this to happen again. Either they'll stop riding a bicycle altogether, or they will ride the bicycle, but they will always wear a helmet. Why? They thought they could ride the bicycle and there wouldn't be any risks involved. That's what they thought. Now, were they arrogant? Were they stupid? Were they negative? No, they just thought they're able to do it. But reality showed them, okay, you can ride the bicycle, but you need to have some anticipation in case things go wrong. So now they realize, I need to wear a helmet. Such an individual had a fantasy that they could ride a bicycle without any proper protection measures. Now let's go to another example. Someone who's driving drunk all the time. Every weekend, he goes to the pub, he drinks liters of alcohol, he jumps into his car and he drives around to have a good time. And he's arrested multiple times. After the 12th time, he was put in jail and had to appear before the judge. And he tells the judge, well, he has his reasons, he just wants to have a good time, he wants to be left alone, it's his life, he decides. He began to defend his choices, and he even began to attack the judge in a covert way. He couldn't do it obviously, because then he could be arrested, but he did it in a covert way. What happened here? Other than this guy being in denial, he's delusional. In the first example of the one riding a bicycle, they just had a fantasy. When reality came in, they realized, okay, I need to adapt. In the second example, the individual is the danger because they refuse to comply with solutions. And because they refuse to comply with solutions, they've become a threat to everyone around them. So every weekend, someone can die because he may hit them with a car. And the community shouldn't tolerate this danger. But what does he do? He fights the community because he just wants to have his alcohol to feel good about himself. Even though the alcohol is the massive consumption of alcohol, because he's abusing alcohol, even though that abuse of alcohol is destroying his body, his health, even though it also endangers his community, so nobody benefits from it, he still just wants the relief of drinking alcohol. Nothing else matters. Not even their own safety. Such an individual is delusional. Now, there's a difference between someone breaking down mentally after a long period of depression and someone that's delusional. Someone that breaks down after a long period of depression, they will show signs of delusion, but they're not delusional. Such individuals just need to be rescued because they are literally falling apart mentally, and that's why they act in such a self-destructive way. They're not delusional, they're just falling apart mentally. Someone that falls apart mentally, if they are put in the right care, to recover. With them, it's just that they've become sick. Just like someone got the flu or someone got infected by some bacteria, that's what happened to them mentally. So with them, they're not evil people, nor do they intend to harm others, they're just falling apart mentally and they need a rescue as soon as possible. But someone that's delusional is someone who himself or herself is the danger. And because they are the danger and they're spreading the danger, they attract evil spirits. And now evil spirits will bail them out whenever the destructive consequences come. Someone that is falling apart mentally due to depression, you can see they're falling apart. Someone that's delusional, no matter how absurd their expectations are, they keep on going. How come? How come that you have one individual falling apart from depression and you have another individual with 5 times worse ideas and expectations and they are at ease? It's because they are dumping the attention on others and evil spirits assist them. So delusional people are demonic magnets. They attract dangerous situations and they themselves bring danger into situations. They bring danger to your life. So understand the difference between a fantasy and a delusion, and understand the difference between someone that's falling apart mentally due to depression and someone that is delusional. Someone that's falling apart mentally due to depression needs a rescue. They are endangered. But someone that's delusional is the danger. Again, someone that's falling apart mentally due to depression is endangered and they need to be rescued. But someone that's delusional is the danger and you need to be rescued from them. Listen, you cannot be safe around delusional people. You cannot. You cannot be safe with delusional people. This needs to get through to you. Someone that has fantasies, you can get along with them. Because once reality comes in, you realize, oh dear, I need to adapt. So that's not the problem. Someone that's falling apart mentally due to depression, you remove yourself and you report it so that they can get the help they need. But someone that's delusional, avoid them. I am telling you, avoid them. If you have to be involved with them, keep it brief and move away. Do not be involved with delusional people. No matter how kind, how honorable, and how good you are towards them, it will not benefit you nor those around you, because delusional people are dangerous beings. All the good you do to them, they will use to blackmail you. Delusional people will grow grudges against you, and they will hold on to grudges against you for something they did unto you. They did something to you by endangering you, so that was wrong, it was filthy of them, Instead of acknowledging what they did unto you, now they're upset that they did it to you. They are upset with you for what they did to you. And now it's your fault that they're upset for what they did to you. So now you need to pay, or you need to be charged with their heaviness for how they feel concerning what they did to you. That is someone that's delusional. So anytime they are upset, they do something out of line, and they will blame those they victimized, and now they will hold grudges against those they victimized. How are you going to be safe around an individual like that? You cannot be safe around such an individual. So don't kid yourself. When someone is delusional and is manifesting, see it for what it is. There are times demons themselves will warn you. Not because the demons care about you, but the demons want to have a leverage over you. So by demons warning you in a covert way, and you're not getting it, the demons can later use this to blackmail you and to have a hold on you. Nevertheless, what the demons do, you can use it for your advantage. There are times demons, the evil spirits that are around, will warn you that someone is delusional. Sometimes evil spirits will even use someone to tell you the truth about other people. It's evil spirits doing it, not because they love you, don't care about you, but because evil spirits want you to trust on fortune telling and not on Christ. But God, in His grace, will even tolerate familiar spirits to warn you. There are times evil spirits will warn you. Again, not because they care about you, because evil spirits don't care about anyone, because they have no future, they have nothing to look forward to. Evil spirits will do it out of their own selfish, narcissistic interest, but you can exploit it for your own advantage. It happens. There are times evil spirits will warn you about certain people. And evil spirits know very well when you're clever enough to capture things. Evil spirits will do this because they want to rely on your own understanding instead of relying on Christ. There are times God will not warn you about someone directly, but He will just work things through you. He will work it out for you on your behalf. God will use such situations to strengthen your faith in Him. Evil spirits, at the other hand, are quick to warn you about other people, to trick you into relying on yourself. So that is what I'm also sharing this message. Besides informing you about the obvious that you cannot be safe with delusional people, realize that there are times demons will warn you about people. Why? They do that to trick you into self-reliance. And you think that it was God that spoke to them, but it was really an evil spirit. How do you see this? Look at the context. Look, when you're dealing with someone that's delusional, eventually, maybe not today, maybe after a decade or two, human beings don't live that long anymore like they used to before the flood. So I won't say centuries. If we lived before the flood and people could have turned like 900 years old, I would say centuries. So for now, I'd say decades. It may not be today. It may not be this decade or the next decade. But the day comes that they will sell you out. The day comes that they will endanger you just because they want to escape from reality. It will come. So if you have parents that are delusional, you walk in love towards your parents, and where you can, you treat them in a proper way, but you will not honor them. You will not give them a place of influence in your affairs. You won't do that. Why? Because they are delusional, and they will endanger you in the long run. You can still visit them if the Holy Spirit allows you. You can assist them financially where you can. Where you can, I said. If they're abusing it for drugs, don't enable it. If you have parents that are delusional, acknowledge that they are delusional and acknowledge that it's not your fault that they're delusional. It's them. When someone has a fantasy, it can be due to lack of knowledge. But that's not the problem. When someone is falling apart due to depression, I don't care why they became depressed, they just need to rescue. If they have wrong thinking, the wrong thing can be addressed. But someone that's delusional, I'm telling you, especially if they are your parents, don't play with it. Do not play with it, because it will never benefit you in any shape or form. Delusional people will always harm you in the long run. They may not harm you by instantly stabbing you or cheating on you or attacking you openly, but they will assault your health, sanity, and safety by enabling or suggesting harm on you. They will do it, and they will move away from you anytime they feel it's the right thing to do, because everything they do is the right thing to do. That's how their mind works. And when they can exploit you, they will come back into your life. You don't have to think your life doesn't exist, but you get what I'm saying. The moment they can come back to you in your affairs to exploit you, they will do it. They will lie to you to get your trust or to win your trust, and then they will use that trust to drain you. And when you're falling apart, they'll have their excuse and they will forget about you as if you never existed. Delusional people are dangerous. They are far more dangerous than those satanic governments out there. They are far more dangerous than those gangs that are in the streets. You can rather put up with gangs in the streets and satanic governments than you're dealing with delusional people. The main reason why we have satanic governments is because pagans want to hinder the explosive rage of delusional people. That's why we have satanic governments with prison systems. Sometimes you're safer in prison than in a community where delusional people are enabled. That is why there are inmates in some prisons that prefer to remain in prison. Why? Because they don't really want to be in prison, but they prefer being in prison because at least they are safe there. There are people out there who are safer in prison than they are just being free in society. Because in society, they're not actually free. There are delusional cowards around who are enabled by the same community, and if they were a target before going to prison, then they're safer in prison, because in prison, cowards can't come as a gang to devour them, because you have prison guards that will stop them. You have prison walls that keep dangerous people out. You shouldn't feel happy nor safe in prison. Absolutely not. But there are people who are scapegoats for whom prison is the safest option on worldly terms, because they have no supernatural strength from the Holy Spirit, neither do they have a paranormal cover. I'm telling you, do not be frightened, nor scared, nor intimidated by delusional people. Just realize what you are dealing with. Again, there's a difference between a fantasy, someone that's falling apart from depression, and someone that's delusional. There are big differences between those three. Know what you are dealing with. Agree with Christ.